Well, good morning, everyone. Do we have any new people? I know we have at least one, right? Thanks for joining us, and thanks for everyone coming back again. So I want to go ahead and talk about the Key Start event that's coming up. So the pitch competition, right, Abby, am I saying that right? Pitch competition is tomorrow night at 7 to 9, right? Is it at the Nest?
No, it's next door.
At the Biggins building?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's at the Biggins Label building. There are 5 finalists, and they're going to be pitching in front of an audience to try to get the $5,000 grant. So everyone should come out to that. And I did see on the newsletter this morning, if you want to go to that, you need to RSVP. There's limited seating. There will be food and drinks and all that fun stuff. So that's that. If you go to startuppeoria.com, click on the event, and there's an RSVP link, and then it looks like an Excel spreadsheet. Fill it out and all that good stuff. So yeah, it'll be a good time. Also, if this is just a reminder, if you applied for 1 Million Cups Peoria and you haven't heard anything, it's because we had a website change, so please go back and re-RSVP, or reapply, I'm sorry. Anyways, okay, so we are on Facebook and Twitter, of course, so make sure you're following us at 1 Million Cups PIA, or you can follow us on Facebook. And we are sponsored by IdeaBox, which is a group that helps organizations create consistent branding through graphic design, video production, website development, event coordination, and online marketing. Their team combines art and technology with a passion to think differently. So we, of course, are 1 Million Cups. The presenter gets 6 minutes to speak, and then we have 20 to 30 minutes for Q&A, and then all the coffee you can drink. And this week, we have Mitch Williams. Mitch is also known as Magical Mitch, which you can follow him on Twitter at Magical Mitch. And you can see a lot of his work, especially at Tyrone's in Bartonville. You'll see cards on the ceiling, that's Mitch. But Mitch is more than just a magician, and he's going to tell us a little bit more about that and what he's doing as an entrepreneur in his world. So, Mitch.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Again, my name is Mitch Williams, and I am an international award-winning magician. I'm considered to be an expert at sleight of hand, or at least I'm told, so I'm told. And I've traveled all over the United States and Canada. I've been to Japan and Europe performing magic. But what I want to talk to you today about is an aspect of my business that until recently was just kind of grouped in with my entertainment business. But is something that I'm actually beginning to focus on as my main passion now and my main focus with my business. And I've actually set it up as a separate entity all in its own. And that is inspirational speaking. My passions have always been magic and what you might call self-development, personal development. When I was young, I got involved in judo and martial arts and other types of movement disciplines, which have become a real passion for me as well. And out of that grew an interest in peak performance. I was invited to train at the United States U.S. Olympic Training Center at one point to try to train with the Olympic team, our Olympic judo team. And because of that connection and others with judo and other things, I got really passionate also about learning more about how we work as human beings and how we get better at what we do. And so creativity and innovation and inspiration have all been passions for me as well. And over time, I began combining that with my magic and doing talks that combine magic along with one or other topics of this type. And for me, it's like it's a perfect combination because, well, for example, one of my main topics is on inspiration, being inspired. And magic is really about that moment of wonder, that spark of inspiration when something happens and we're surprised and amazed by it. And it becomes... It becomes an obsession, an idea whose time has come until it turns into something solid and real, and we can give it substance and form. And sometimes those ideas tend to go away, but they do tend to pop up again if they're really inspiring, and that's the great thing about it. And one idea can actually lead to another idea. They tend to multiply and reinforce one another. And magic is the same kind of thing. And the great thing is, when you have one of those inspired ideas that you focus on again and again and begin to build it in your imagination, that very process in and of itself allows us to take away those obstacles and the limitations. They begin to fade away as if by magic. And in a nutshell, that really is a creative process. That's why I love magic. So I combine these two, and I've done that a little bit over time. As I've done entertainment, I sometimes have been called on to do the inspirational speaking. But as I said, I'm actually setting it up as a separate business in its own right, and it's becoming my main focus now. And just to go a little bit into the business side of it, I think really what I offer in terms of value is two things that are unique to me. And one is that as a speaker, I'm very entertaining. I'm not just a magician. I don't just do magic. I'm one of the best at what I do in my particular style of magic that I do. So I'm very experienced and qualified in that regard. And I also have a background that delves deeply into those topics that I talked about: inspiration, psycho-spiritual approach to self-development. And I've been studying that since I was a teenager, and really know that topic inside and out from a rather unique perspective. And that's what I bring. So as a speaker, I'm not just a speaker talking about motivation. I actually have a depth of interests and expertise. And one of the main things about inspirational speaking is that information is taken in a lot more readily when it's presented in a really lively, entertaining way. And so I think what I do is a really valuable combination of those two elements. By making it entertaining, people really get the information more solidly. And I have some really good information that I do share. So over the past few months, I've really begun to focus on this. And this is one of my main marketing pieces that I've just created. This is what's called a one-sheet in motivational and professional speaking circles. I don't know how much you can see there, but basically it spells out the main elements of what I offer and the benefits, some of my past clients, some testimonials and things like that. But it's kind of an all-in-one sort of marketing piece. I also developed a website, mitchinspires.com, which is, again, specifically focused on the speaking side of my business. I also wrote a book. It's called A Call to Magic: The Artful Science of Transforming Self and World. This is it right here. And again, it is on what I call my philosophy of magic. Because magic really, for me, is a metaphor for going beyond what we think is possible, to transcend that limitation. It's also about changing our perceptions. It's about transformation. And any real change has to begin there. You have to begin with changing your perceptions of the world around you. And so that's one of the really valuable lessons and one of the really valuable ideas that I generally share. I have gotten the book out there a bit. It's on Amazon. I self-published first, but I think it's a strong enough standalone piece that it certainly could go somewhere and I could do more with it. I've gotten several positive reviews, both on Amazon and off. This is just one of them. This was from Midwest Book Review. The opening line was simply stated: if you only have time to read one self-help, self-improvement instructional guide, then make it a call to magic. So I've gotten a lot of really positive feedback about the book, and that's one of the ways that I'm promoting my speaking business. And the speaking business also offers me the opportunity to sell the book, so they tend to reinforce each other. I also use a variety of marketing strategies and PR strategies, and I've become pretty apt at that. Since I moved back to the Midwest, I've had to become really, really good at learning how to market myself. So I have developed low-cost, high-impact ways of marketing my business. And I also do consulting for other businesses now, kind of as a side adjunct to my speaking business, for marketing small businesses and getting the best results with marketing. So that's one of the topics that I also talk about. I'm now a regular guest on News 25 Today with Gary Moore and Gina Morris. And I've also been on several other, most of the local television programs. I've been in the Journal Star many times. Some of the national exposure has been on AOL, on MSN, on Blog Talk Radio, and interestingly enough, on the Major League Baseball network. Because some of you may remember the pitcher who shares my name, Mitch Williams. He used to pitch for the Cubs. And for a while, he was on a program called, I think it was called Hot Seat or something like that. And they were doing profiles on people that had the same name as Mitch Williams that did other things. So I was interviewed on that program. In addition to the inspirational topics and the creativity and innovation, I've also got really strong programs on stress management, again on marketing. I can do a mini seminar on marketing strategies. And I also have the ability to customize programs around a particular topic. Two of the programs that I have now, called The Magic of Self-Esteem, and what was the other one? Oh, Stress Relief Magic, the one on stress management, came from topics that a client requested, and then I actually put together a program based on that. I blended magic in with all of the main topic points, and so that's one of the things that I can do. I can customize programs. My target markets are, right now I'm really focusing on school districts for teacher in-service events, staff development. Also corporate conferences, professional development events, staff development, associations and conferences and their training events, often have training events. And also colleges often have student leadership events. And some large nonprofit organizations also do staff training events. And of course, I'm also targeting, when I can, to producers of leadership and self-improvement seminars. Doris?
I hear you.
So those are my main target markets, and in a nutshell, that's what I do and where I'm going with this business, that's all I have to share about that, but I'm glad to take your questions. Thank you. Yes, Doris.
Okay, now you're going to be honest, right? No. I actually saw, I'm sitting right here. Where did that ball go? I mean, did it go up your arm? Because I'm sitting, we're on the front row.
It's mad. There's
There's
honesty and foolishness.
I know, I can actually see it. What?
Can you keep a secret?
Yes.
So can I.
Oh. You are absolutely great.
Thank you.
Oh my God, I want to see that again. Whenever.
There's gonna be a video.
Yeah. You have an agent?
I had a manager for a short time when I was out on the West Coast, but no, mostly I've marketed myself. And again, once I moved back to the Midwest, it was really important to develop those marketing skills. So I studied a variety of direct marketing and guerrilla marketing strategies, because I didn't necessarily have a big budget to start with either. And I don't right now starting this business either. So I'm using some of those strategies to get the best results from the least amount of money. I'd love to have somebody to push me, but I just never have had an agent.
Can you describe your self-publishing journey? How did you go about deciding you were going to write a book?
Sure. Well, years ago, I decided that I had information that I wanted to share, and I really thought that I would eventually write a book. And just a few years ago, I basically, thought, I knew that I wanted to get more and more into speaking, and I felt that I needed that as, one of the vehicles to help me with my speaking business once I launched it. So I just sat down for, an hour or two every morning and accumulated the information that I, wanted to write, created an outline, and wrote. It took me about a year to complete the manuscript. Found someone that I knew that had some editing skills who edited the book for me. And I also have an art background, so a lot of my materials, my marketing materials, but also the book design and all of that are things that I do as well. And once it was ready to launch, I started looking. Well, actually, as I was writing, I was looking at some of the strategies for publishing, and whether to submit it to a publishing house or publish myself. And I decided that I wanted to publish myself. And I ended up using the Amazon platform, which is called CreateSpace. It's a really great platform for publishing your own work. Basically, you upload your finished file, you put it into a certain format, and then upload your cover artwork and all of that. And it's kind of takes you by the hand and takes you through the steps. And it also connects with their Kindle publishing KDP platform. So I was also able to publish on Kindle at the same time. So I have it digitally out there also. And I came across a marketing kind of a mastermind group. It's a system for marketing really Kindle books for niche markets, and use that as a way to do my launch. It was based on, Kindle has a free giveaway that you can do for, I think, up to 3 or 4 days every 30 days. And you can use that as a way to really get your book out there and get reviews. And the more reviews you get, the higher you start climbing in the rankings on Amazon. So it's all a process, and I focused on that for a while, and I've kind of gotten away from it now, but that was a little bit of what I did with that.
What are some of the biggest obstacles and challenges you're running into with your goals?
A lot of them are my personal internal obstacles, which goes kind of hand in hand with what I'm doing, because I'm talking about success and those kinds of things. I have a background, though, that wasn't successful. Growing up, my family wasn't successful, didn't really have a feeling for that. So I'm addressing some of those goals, and that's actually giving me a lot of insights into how I can be a better teacher, a better speaker. But I guess some of the other obstacles are well, one of them was really honing in on my target markets, finding the markets that I think are really uniquely suited to me. I have a message that's a little bit different. Luckily, though, I can customize my message to the particular group. So that's less of an issue than it might be for some people. I'm beginning to do that. I'm still really in the process of sorting all of that out. And then it's just generating leads and finding the right strategies for marketing to each one of those target markets. Those are probably the biggest obstacles. Daryl?
Do you do anything with churches, religious organizations?
I have, yeah. I actually have done quite a bit of speaking with religious science churches and unity churches, which are kind of, it has nothing to do with Scientology or that whole frame of reference. They're more about positive thinking. They have a spiritual approach to positive thinking. Their unity is essentially Christian-based, but they're open to other spiritual perspectives. So they tend to be pretty open-minded about that kind of thing. Some churches, that are more, I guess, what you might say, fundamentalist in their approach, can be a little more difficult for me to kind of connect with, but I certainly have done that. But because again, I'm pretty skilled at being able to customize my message.
So you're definitely open to that kind of stuff?
Yes,
If
yeah.
they wanted you to come in.
Definitely, yeah. I find that unless it's a really big church, though, they often don't have the budget for what I do. One of the big reasons that I'm switching over from the entertainment side of my business to the speaking side of my business is that short of people that are international celebrities, in the entertainment market, the top paying jobs are pretty much equivalent with the lower paying jobs in the speaking market. So it's a much more lucrative side, and I can charge much higher fees for speaking jobs. And even when I was doing it as part of my magic business, that was definitely true.
What a school circuit. Schools.
I have done some of that, and I still do. Unfortunately, school budgets have been cut pretty drastically. So it's not in terms of my fee base, it's not as big of an advantage to go after that market, but it is something that I still do on occasion. I haven't really focused on it specifically to market to them for a while, but I do occasionally get calls for that, and I will take them, certainly. I have some really good, strong programs for school assembly programs.
Just wondering, as far as like, when you're looking at a lower budget issue, but you really believe in the mission of educating children, a virtual presentation?
Well, it's certainly something I could be open to. One of the really strong benefits to what I do, though, is that it is a live presentation, and I believe strongly in that, in what I do as a performing art and as a speaking art. So I tend to go in that direction. But I do often allow for some flexibility in my fee structure for things that I really believe in, and education is one of them. So yeah, definitely open to that.
That's what I was gonna ask. Do you have a flat rate that you just charge for everyone, or is it depend on the number of attendees, what you're doing? Is there a price range?
Yeah, I have a basic price range, actually 2 different price ranges, so I can help the client to kind of hone in on what their budget is and what they want to get. And then I tend to customize pretty much all of my programs to some degree, and the price really depends on a number of factors, including the length of the program, how much customization I have to do. If I'm coming up with a whole new program, that's going to be more expensive than if I'm doing one of my standard ones, and things like that. I can also do, in addition to like a keynote talk, I can also do breakout sessions and longer workshops and all-day kinds of things. So I can do package pricing for all of those. But again, I basically give them the price ranges, and then once we kind of get into what their specific needs are, I address them as specifically as I can and create a budget around what they need and what their budget is.
Can you talk a little bit more about your background? What led you to what you're doing now? I know that's a pretty broad question.
Yeah. Just to fill in a few more of the blanks, I was introduced to the self-improvement arena, like I said, when I was in my teen years. One of the first books that I read on that subject is a book called Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. Really, really, really interesting story of how he came to write the book and do what he did. Maxwell Maltz was actually a plastic surgeon. And he discovered that some of his patients, after undergoing facial surgery, would also undergo radical transformations of their personalities. And some didn't. And he wanted to know why. So he started looking into it. And it had to do with their self-image. And so that whole idea of self-image psychology really took hold with me, and I kind of ran with it. Also, because of my involvement in judo and the other martial arts, I was introduced in my teenage years to Eastern philosophies, and started seeing a lot of connections between Eastern philosophies and the whole creativity and self-help and self-development arena, and started bringing them together and combining them and seeing how they all fit together. So there was definitely a spiritual component, and my background is a Christian one, but I've really broadened my perspective on what that means for me personally. And at first, my Christian upbringing was very, very strict, very fundamentalist, and it didn't feel like a good fit for me personally. And so, I started asking myself, what do I really believe, and what does this mean to me? And I started finding, by doing that, outside of the dogma, within the basic Christian framework, there's a lot of similarity between Christianity and other religions, and even the self-improvement and self-help arena. And so I became really, really interested in that, and really dove into studying those kinds of materials, and started applying them to my life just to see how they fit, how they worked, and found that they do. And in a nutshell, that's kind of been my journey with all of that. And art has been a big part of that, the creative process with, doing magic as a performing art. I've lectured for magicians all over the country, other magicians, on how to approach magic as an actual art form. So that art and creativity has also come into play. And I've been a big proponent since I've gotten back here with supporting the arts community in the central Illinois area, and have been involved in a lot of projects doing that. So, those are kind of my passions that have taken me on this path. And I think it's why I have a unique perspective on a lot of this stuff. It's not just, I didn't just pick up a motivational book and start reading and say, oh, I can do that. And I did some of that too, but yeah, there was a lot more to it than that. Yeah, there's some depth there, in my opinion.
So the last one, what about training others? Maybe with kids starting out who have the same interests that you have.
Yeah,
You have a training
well, I
program.
have done that with magic, for example. I do a lot of teaching in a lot of different areas. I'm a fourth degree black belt in judo, and I teach judo at the Y in Canton, where I live. I've also recently started a Tai Chi class, and I teach Tai Chi. But I've also done coaching with goal setting and things like that, and I do one-on-one consultations, and I plan to make that a kind of a further offshoot, another possible stream of income for my speaking business as well. So they can kind of go hand in hand. And I know a little bit about NLP, neuro-linguistic program, and I'm learning more from Daryl right now. So yeah, I definitely see myself as an educator in a broad sense, and I'm very good with people one-on-one. So I would like to do more of that as well.
What can the people in this room do to help you achieve your goals?
If you would like to keep abreast of my activities, I have an email list over here that you can sign up for, first of all. Secondly, if you know people that fit any of the categories that I talked about earlier in terms of my target market and can get me connected with them, that would be a big help for me. And if you have thoughts or ideas for me, I'd be very open to hearing them. Other contacts, I'm into networking, I'm into sharing my ideas with others, and so anything and everything that you can do to help me do that better, I would certainly appreciate it. And I really, really, really appreciate you being here today and spending a little time with me. Thanks so much.
Drink the coffee.